What's good, YouTube? It's your boy on me. Yeah, man, purple doing in the shades on, so you know nothing wrong. But I'm true to this. I'm not new to this. I love animal videos and stuff. So anytime TierZoo uploads, it's a good day in my opinion. But I hope y'all are enjoying y'all Sunday. Hope everything's good. But always like, comment, subscribe, check out my other videos. And without further ado, let's get into it. So today we got TierZoo and how cats broke the game. I had a cat for a little bit, just to start this video a little. But I had a cat for a little bit, and it did bite me a couple times. But overall, I like cats. You know, they're low maintenance, especially if they're like outside too, because all I really had to do was just feed them sometimes. His name was Oscar. It was like an orange cat. But yeah, but one thing about cats is, like, at nighttime, they are kind of scary. Cause I remember sometimes I would be asleep and like he would be asleep in my room sometimes, and then all of a sudden, like, I wouldn't wake up, like start to wake up, but I could just hear him like breathing right in my face, bro. Like, cats can really take you out if they wanted to. They're like little lions, bro. They're super fast, super agile. They're like the perfect archetype if you were building something that could survive with humans, but at the same time don't need humans. You know what I'm saying? But I'm talking too much. So without further ado, let's get into the video. Yeet. I can change the.
This game's tier list can seem pretty set in stone sometimes, but in reality, major shifts in the meta can happen extremely quickly, especially when new resource hotspots and points of interest open up. Builds which are well adapted to capitalize on these flashpoints can see dramatic ascensions on the tier list. One such event occurred when humans unlocked the food storage ability. This greatly improved the humans' survivability by giving them a consistent source of XP even during harsh winters or famines.
Okay.
That is, if they could defend their stockpiles. These stashes were incredibly valuable and could easily support entire colonies of rats and sparrows if—
Bro, I hate rats and like rodents like that, bro, because if you see one, there's never gonna be just one. Like, animals that go in herds scare, like wasps, all that other stuff. I'm
improperly
good.
guarded. And while these Neolithic humans did have some techniques they could use to try and protect their precious grain on their own, ultimately their saving grace came in the form of a previously low-tier predator build that was barely scraping by in the North African savanna.
Really?
The Wildcat. A build which, once domesticated, would go on to become one of the most oppressive, overpowered predators in the current meta. But what is it about the house cat that makes it such a dominant threat? And how was it that the Wildcat became better suited at taking advantage of pest infestations than other builds? To really explain the success of the house cat, we need to go way back and start our story just after the Miocene balance patch. This update granted mammals access to a new ability called Carnival Teeth, a side grade of the dentition skill tree.
It's like the saber-tooth tiger, huh? Like Diego from Ice Age. Like, once they got them teeth, they could really, you know, dig in and shit.
Which allows users to gain bonus XP from carcasses and carrion sources. This may seem like a minor thing, but it completely changed up the metagame and made hyper-carnivorous builds a lot more viable, giving rise to a new archetype called the Carnivoran, a group which includes many of the most popular predator builds in the current meta. Carnivorans are divided into two factions, Caniforms
Wait.
and Feliforms.
Caniforms. Oh, so skunk. A bear is like a cat, and a dog is like a cat? I guess so. That's what I like about these videos. I learn something new every time, so.
Caniforms are more generalist in nature and invest a lot into the olfaction skill tree, letting them track the sense of whatever they need, be it scavengeable carrion, prey, fruit, honey, water, or teammates, from a great distance. They also tend to have a lot of stamina, allowing them to run for long distances without tiring. Feliforms, on the other hand, doubled down on the Carnivoran archetype's original strategy. They spec'd into even more abilities meant to crank up the efficiency of the hyper-carnivore game plan. The ability Tongue Papillate allows Felids to extract even more value from fresh kills. Instead of investing heavily into scent-based sensory power, Feliforms tend to focus more on their hearing and eyesight abilities. This doesn't help them.
Okay, so what he's basically saying is cats don't smell as good as dogs, but their hearing and their sight is a lot better.
Scavenge, since things like carcasses and berries don't make sound, but it does make them incredibly good at detecting hidden prey. Also, in keeping with the Carnivoran's first major advancement, Feliforms also focus a lot more heavily on specialized dentition, optimizing their bite attacks to deal massive puncture damage, and more effectively hold onto prey so the user can deal bonus damage with their claws.
And, you know, I got a claw.
Throw in a few more ambush-focused abilities like retractable claws and camouflage fur patterns, and you've arrived at the modern Felid, easily one of the most successful stealth assassin builds the game has ever seen. In fact,
what?
In the Ice Age
From a
expansion,
crocodile is
Felids
crazy.
were such a dominant threat that many other predator builds had trouble competing with them at all. In the current meta, cats remain incredibly dominant in virtually every major terrestrial server. Basically every cat, including the ones I like to throw shade at, is a threat. Not just to those of similar weight class, but even to builds that vastly outweigh them. Although their power stat tends to be fairly modest among Carnivorans, through efficient use of critical hits, a skilled Felid player can take down just about anything. While the majority of the Felid...
One male lion took down like a whole buffalo? Like, bro.
player base was off rampaging through the upper weight classes. An offshoot of the faction opted to forego larger size and instead chose to spec into a few new abilities, meant to capitalize on exploiting the weaknesses commonly found in the lower weight classes. So let's finally start unpacking what makes the house cat so overpowered. We'll begin with a quick look at the cat's stats. We've got a build with upper mid-level intelligence, low defensive stats, decent damage, above average stealth, high mobility, and excellent perception.
Is perception a new stat? Bro, I would think their mobility is max. Cause cats are so agile, like let's just think about it. If you were a human, like you would never be able to just run and catch a cat. You know what I mean? It's either go climb up something, jump past you, or just run away. Like you wouldn't be able to catch a cat.
Right off the bat, something that might jump out at you is, well, the fact that nothing jumps out at you. Cats are supposedly some of the most broken predators of all time, and yet none of their stats seems all that busted on their own.
I feel like their agility
is
busted.
At least one stat that is so high it completely invalidates the strategies of other players. But no, cats aren't able to use tools, they don't have a bone-crushing or venomous bite, they can't change colors, they can't tank attacks for days, they can't echolocate, and so on. So no obvious answer here. Next, let's check out their unique abilities. We talked about a few already, including the abilities that buff the XP rates from meat sources. These should not be understated, as without them you can pretty much entirely write off the viability of this build. Cats, and all other mammals, have the warm-blooded trait. This grants them greatly improved stamina regen rates, greater resistance to cold damage, and a bunch of other useful perks, but at the cost of much greater upkeep requirements.
Yeah, they gotta eat a lot more.
Kills much more frequently than similarly sized cold-blooded builds. Without these abilities granting the cat bonus XP from meat, it would be very difficult for them to keep up with their energy needs, even with how efficient cats are at hunting. Cats can also move extremely quietly due to...
My mom just texted me to record the BET Awards. Man.
Their soft toe pads and retractable claws, enabling them to easily get within striking range of prey through smart use of cover and line of sight. But okay, all types of cat, large and small, have those abilities. How about something more unique to house cats? For that, let's look at their primary perception-based ability, slitted pupils.
Their eyesight.
This ability grants house cats extremely precise depth perception, greater than all other felids. This allows them to perfectly judge the optimal pouncing distance, massively increasing their odds of landing an immediate critical hit and incapacitating their target before it has a chance to respond. So even though the house cat's base damage isn't broken in and of itself, when a house cat goes on the offensive, it can certainly look that way. This strategy is what has led to the complete collapse of several different player bases in the amphibian, reptile, bird, and mammal factions, as it truly is
Hey, that frog was tanking them hits though.
impressive. Now, while we were first looking at the cat's base stats, one thing you might have assumed right away was that the cat's lower defensive stats are its main weakness, and that cats function as a sort of glass cannon, with very little counterplay options when attacked. You might also assume that given the cat's high mobility, their primary defensive strategy is simply to run away when they feel threatened. And while their top speed is often enough to escape danger when needed, instead, cats employ their mobility stat defensively in a different way. This is where one of the most shockingly effective aspects of the house cat manifests.
Hey, he's standing on business.
House cats use their incredible agility to stand their ground. Agility and quick reflexes are usually used to dodge attacks, but cats instead actually use the reflexes to deflect them. Because their incredible depth perception grants them such high accuracy on their attacks, they can use their claw swipe attack to actually block incoming strikes. This is surprisingly consistent.
That makes sense though. I never thought about it like that, because cats really don't run away from stuff. They don't really run away from shit. Unless it's like another cat or something, but most of the time, if like a snake or a cobra is running up on a cat just go sit there. And it's like a parry almost. They got perfect parry, golden parry, buckler shield, Elden Ring. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and works on a lot more attacks than you might think. Now, obviously, this is a high skill, high reward strategy. Missing a parry can result in serious damage.
That's true.
If you get good enough at this, you can ward off attacks from just about anything, and potentially even open up opportunities for counterattacks. Put all this together, and you come to understand what a house cat build truly is. A house cat is what you get when you fuse the deadliness of a snake with the energy of a mammal. But why does this playstyle make for such a good partnership with human players? Compared to dogs, they seem like they'd be much less useful party members. Humans broke the game and became the top-tier build by using coordinated team strategies and tool use in order to utterly trivialize their matchup versus large mammals. Dogs easily slot right into this game plan, as they can help track and chase down large prey, and also sniff out any potential ambush predators that could disrupt and punish this strategy. When a successful kill is made, dogs and humans naturally split the reward and both benefit. Dogs are also great defensively, as they can keep watch at camp and alert party members of approaching enemies. Cats are generally pretty useless in this regard. They don't have anywhere near the endurance.
And that's what I'm saying. Cats are, I feel like for a human anyway, if you want something to actually help you, get a dog instead of a cat, bruh.
Down prey over long distances. Can't square off head-to-head with those builds anyway, and aren't nearly as reliable for early enemy alerts. The kills a cat makes can't realistically be shared with humans either. It wasn't until humanity unlocked the agriculture ability that the player base began to notice additional vulnerabilities they didn't need to care about before. Vulnerabilities that dogs couldn't really help with. When operating off of a hunter-gatherer
dogs can't
strategy,
really catch
humans
birds,
could basically ignore all builds in the low weight class. Rats and birds were no threat to humans, and also not worth the effort to take down, so it makes sense for them to just focus on larger quarries. However, when the focus shifts to farming and food storage, those same builds humans were ignoring before suddenly became one of their biggest threats.
I see now. So once humans started farming and stuff, that's when the birds and the rats start eating all your plants and stuff. So that's when cats come in handy. I get it.
Having a granary raided and its food reserves destroyed could easily wipe out an entire human settlement. So figuring out proper security for these storage sites was critical. Dogs simply are not effective enough at stopping pest infestations to fill that role. They cannot climb or fit into small spaces, and aren't stealthy enough to catch the trickier pests. Cats, on the other hand, are truly excellent at this task, and come with other benefits as well. The main one being that they require very little upkeep. Although they are social builds, they hunt alone, so they don't require any direction or attention from their human party members in order to accomplish their task. Since humans don't have any need for rat or bird carcasses, the fact that cats don't usually share their kills is actually a benefit rather than a drawback. The only thing cats really require from humans is to share in the shelters they construct. In the wilderness, cats typically use burrows, hollow stumps, or caves as their home bases. But these are vulnerable to attacks. Human settlements are significantly safer. Speaking of safety, even though cats are extremely lethal hunters, they pose very little danger to humans. This is a huge advantage over snakes, which...
Yeah, that's what I'm saying, like, too, because snakes, like cats, they might bite you. But at the end of the day, if you're raising a cat like your own, your life is not going to be in danger. Like, you could probably kick a cat or punch a cat and it'll be over. But sometimes cats can really mess you up, too, so I don't know.
theoretically could ally with humans to serve the same purpose, but in practice are far too dangerous to risk keeping around. The fact that cats are warm-blooded and therefore need to eat more frequently than snakes is also a benefit rather than a drawback for humans, since it means they need to stay on task and keep their guard up. So, while it is common to see players debate which build makes for the better addition to a human player's party, the correct answer is actually both. Dogs are a huge help in the large creature matchup, while cats cover your weaknesses in the small creature matchups.
Right.
Having both in your
So really the optimal is to get a cat and a dog.
Party covers all of your weaknesses and enables human settlements to use a hybrid playstyle of both hunting and farming. So if you're a human main trying to construct the most optimal party comp, the only real question is how you'll keep the dog and cat players from fighting each other. Now, knowing which traits and abilities to invest in can be a difficult choice. Luckily for you, I've partnered with the game Cell to Singularity to provide you the perfect training simulation.
Okay.
Cell to Singularity, this game's so... We were TierZoo themed, and I guarantee for watching, and as always, good luck out there.
Hey man, another great video by TierZoo. I like cats, I like dogs. But basically what he said is I need to get a cat and a dog, so I'm gonna work on that. But as always, check out my other videos, man. Y'all be safe out here. I'm out.
Hey, making it flip like I'm doing gymnastics, making it flip like I do acrobatic. I'm money fanatic, my life is fantastic, making it stretch like I'm Mr. Fantastic. She hop on the carpet, Aladdin. My flow need a pattern, I'm never subtracting. I get to the money, that shit made me